Hello everyone and welcome to lesson number 1. Today we're going to be learning chess from the very beginning. So if you have never learned chess before, you're starting from scratch, this is the right place for you to be. I'm going to teach you the way I learned, the way I teach all of my students, and we're going to take it one step at a time. So the first thing you need to understand is that chess is a battle between two teams. You have the light pieces team and the dark pieces team. And basically, each team is trying to get to the other person's king and put them in checkmate. But before we learn what checkmate is, how we do checkmate, let's go to the very beginning. And the very beginning is learning about the chessboard. So let me take the chess pieces away and let's take a look. So first, the chessboard has 64 squares. Half of them are light squares and half of them are dark squares. Then we also have these lines that go side to side. We call them ranks. So you have the first rank, the second rank, then the third rank, the fourth rank, and so on. And we have the other lines that go up and down. We call them files. So we have the A file. If you look at the letters at the bottom, that helps you name the file. So A file, B file, C file, D file, and so on. And of course, we have also the diagonals. So we have ranks, files, and diagonals. And this is very important that you learn these details, because if you want to learn chess from the bottom up the right way, you have to pay attention to every single detail. It's going to make your learning way more efficient. So again, 64 squares, half of them light, half of them dark. We have files, ranks, and diagonals. So now that we know this, we also have to pay attention to the letters and the numbers we have on the board. For now, just use them to name the different files and ranks. There are other uses for this, but one thing at a time. So let me now bring the pieces to the board, because we need to learn the name of the pieces and how to set them up on the board. So let's start with this one at the edge. We have the rooks. So we have 2 rooks per team, 2 white rooks, 2 black rooks. Next to the rook, we have the knight. It looks like a horse, but we call it a knight. I guess the knight is the person riding the horse in the battlefield. So 2 knights. Then we have the bishops. And then in the middle we have the queen and the king. The queen typically is the one with the regular crown. The king has like an X or a cross on his crown. And also a good way to distinguish between the queen and the king is in the physical chess sets, the king typically is taller than the queen. But other than that, when you play online, there are different variations, but typically the king has like an X or a cross on top. So king and queen. So this is the queen again, this is the king, and then in front we have the little pawns. We have 8 pawns. So don't worry about the name for now. If you didn't pick it up, I'm going to show you now how to set the pieces on the board, and that's going to be another chance for you to learn the name of the pieces or to practice them. Feel free to go over this video as many times as you need, because the point is that you really understand this before you start learning how the pieces move and so on. So let me take them all off the board and let me show you how to set up the pieces. Every time you play a chess game, your pieces are going to be set up the same way. So first we have the rook. It's going to go at on the corner. And then next to the rook we have the knight. Then we have the bishop. And we do the same thing on the other side. We put the other rook on the other corner. Next to the corner we have the knight, then the bishop, and then it's time to put the queen and the king in the middle. Now what do you know where the queen goes, or the king? Well, there's a very simple rule. The queen always likes to be on the same color she is. If she's a light queen, she's going to go on the light square right here. The king goes next to her, and that's it. Now you're going to see when we set up the black pieces, you're going to see that the queen, since she's the black queen, she's going to be on the dark square. So now we're going to put the pawns in front. It's like the pawns are taking care of the big pieces. So there we go. And please practice doing this. Even if you do it online where the computer set up for you, well, practice doing this. If you have a chess set at home, take it out and practice doing this. Practice the name of the pieces, practice how to set them up. Black pieces, so you could do what I did with the white pieces, just do one side and then the other side, or you could go by pieces, like put the rooks first, so one rook on each corner, then we bring the knights, then we put the bishops, so basically rook, knight, bishop, rook, knight, bishop, then queen and king. We get the queen first. If the queen is dark, she goes on the dark square, and then the king goes next to it. And lastly, you could put the pawns. Now, as you get more practice, it doesn't really matter. You could put the pawns first, you could put one bishop, one knight, it doesn't really matter. But for now, try to really understand where to put the pieces. All right. So now that you know how to set up the pieces, there's one more detail I wanted to mention. When you sit down to play the chess game, you have your pieces set up the right way, like this. The queen is on the color it has to be, on the square it has to be. But there's something else. You have to make sure that the square at the bottom right corner of the chessboard is a light square, like this. So if by any chance you set up your pieces and you notice that this square is a dark square, you have to rotate the board because it's wrong. So always this square has to be a light square. Okay. Now you know the name of the pieces, you know how to set them up, you know the different characteristics of the chessboard, or the battlefield like many people call it. So in the next lesson, we're going to start learning how the pieces move, how they capture, how to do check and checkmate. And with that, you will be ready to play your first game.